For this historical context with a historian, I'm going to be talking about cultural respect. It kind of goes with the other video about the term Indian or indigenous or which term to use. You will notice in this book that the Hollisters treat the Yumatans with a lot of respect. There are a number of things that can sometimes crop up in fiction that are not really good, that the Hollisters actually manage to avoid. One thing is what some people have called the white savior complex. It's the idea that non-white peoples, in this case it would be the Yumatans, need white people to come and save them. Now, obviously, the Hollisters do, in fact, find the lost mine. But this isn't really because they're smarter or better. Well, narratively speaking, it's because they're the main characters that they find it. But they find it because they happen to have all the circumstances come together. They've talked to the right people, they've put stuff together, they by chance basically find this old cave dwelling that gives them a perfect view. They find the map that had actually been stolen by someone else. They put the pieces together in a way that is not because they're better necessarily, they just had more access to the pieces. And they don't try to push in their help when it's not wanted. One thing that we can see, for example, where we see this very clearly, is after Swift Eagle, the governor of the Yumatans, had been taken by the police because a stolen rug had been found, the Yumatans were possibly being blamed, and the Hollisters were going back to the Pueblo to take the news and to see if they could help. And this is precisely how they frame it. Mr. Hollister says, we are going to find out what we can do to help. Not, we are going to help, we are going to save the day, but if they need our help, we're there. Whatever help we can give. He offers to take the information once the Yumatan have conferred and discover that someone saw a person who was not Yumatan dropping the rug off. They have news, they have a clue for the police. He offers to go in their bus and take the news to the state police. But when they say, no, we'll take it ourselves, he doesn't push it. Okay, good. I made the offer. I have that option. You can take it. You don't have to. He didn't push it. He was there to offer whatever support he could give, whatever support they wanted from him. And that is a lot more respectful. I mean, nobody wants somebody else to come barging in to save the day, whether they want it or not. Nobody wants that. And the Hollisters are very careful not to do that. Another thing that they do that's very respectful is they respect culture, cultural differences, where sometimes they mess up. They don't automatically know everything about Yumatan or Pueblo culture. They mess up a couple of times. But once they realize they messed up, they stop doing what they were doing. They fix it. For example, when they're talking to Warhorse, the Pueblo man who's not Yumatan but from a neighboring tribe, who had won the bull riding competition. They ask him about culture. You know, they're asking, oh, what's good luck, what's bad luck? Snakes were good luck. They asked him about bad luck, and he kind of shut down a little bit. He didn't want to talk about bad luck, bad omens. He told them, I'm guessing to sort of soften it, he told them that he didn't like to talk about bad luck because he liked to be happy, his people liked to be happy. What it probably really was, there are actually many Native American groups that don't like to talk about certain bad things, certain evil things. The idea is that if you say its name, you may attract its attention and actually make it more likely to hurt you. And so you don't want to talk about that stuff. You don't want to say its name because it could actually draw it to you. And so there is, even today, culturally, a major reluctance to talk about certain things because just talking about it could potentially be dangerous. And so, historically speaking, most likely that would more have been what he was thinking, but he was sort of softening it. He was talking to kids. And here's where the respect comes in. They realized that they had given offense, that they had asked a question that he didn't want to answer, that was potentially offensive, that they had hurt him, that they had offended him. And immediately how they react to this is they're sorry. We didn't know that was your custom. We won't push it anymore. We're sorry that we said that. They did not try to convince him. It's superstition. It's not going to hurt you if you say the name. We want to know. They don't push it. He doesn't want to talk about it. Fine. They don't make him defend his culture. Why do you think that? Is it a good enough reason? They don't do that. They say, okay, we didn't know your culture. We didn't know your way of doing things. We realize we've given offense, and we're going to back off on it completely. They drop the question. Now, Warhorse presumably is impressed by being respected in this way, and so he kind of makes a compromise. He doesn't want to talk about the bad luck or the bad omens of his own people, but he will tell them a story about a Yumetan bad omen, which might have seemed possibly safer to him. And of course, it turned out to be a really important clue, which if they had pushed it, if they had, treated him like whatever he believed didn't matter, they probably never would have gotten that. And they might not have solved the mystery. Another time we see respect is with Pam and the bows and arrows. They're at the Pueblo, they're doing various activities, and the boys are invited to practice with bows and arrows. And Pam wants to do it too. And to her, this is no big deal. But she learns that Yumetan girls culturally that's not okay. It's just for boys. It's not something girls are supposed to be doing. And we see later, in the first time she learns this. The second time, when the boys are trying with the feathered ball, with the sort of bow and arrow skeet shooting type thing, Pam specifically says, I'd like to do this. I'm planning to do it when we get home. I'm going to learn how to do this, but we're here. It's not something that they think is okay for girls to do, and so it would be rude for me to push in and try to do this here. She doesn't think it's bad. She's planning to try it at home, but while they're in the Pueblo, she wants to respect what their traditions are. She wants to respect their culture, and so it would be rude if she pushed in and insisted on doing it. So she does it. This is a respectful thing for them to do. They try to learn about the culture. When they're offered food, they eat it. Even if it's something that would have been really unusual to them, like rabbit. They don't try to pick it apart and, oh, this is weird. They're being very respectful. They are treating, for example, Swift Eagle, they treat as an authority figure, which is what he is. They also treat as authority figures people like Poda, the lieutenant governor, despite the fact that they have presumably had less access to American education systems and don't speak perfect English. Warhorse was the same way. He didn't speak perfect English. They didn't try to act like they were uneducated or stupid because their English was not perfect. And so the way the Hollisters treat the Yumetans and how they react to messing stuff up when they asked Warhorse about bad luck and gave offense, when Pam wanted to play with the bows and arrows and that was not something girls were supposed to do, when they realized they had given offense, they didn't try to defend themselves, they tried to fix it and not do it again. And so this was really a good example of how to try to be respectful of another culture. You may very well mess up, but if you do, try to fix it. And don't try to save people who don't want to be saved, who don't really need your help. Don't barge in and try to help when you're not needed. This is something that in fiction sometimes happens, the white savior complex, but the Hollisters really do their utmost to avoid doing that, to offer help. You know, here I am, I will help you if you need it, if you want it, but not pushing it, just offering it, the help is there. And if they could put together bits and pieces that had been apart, I mean, the mine had not been found because the Yumatans didn't have all the information. They didn't have access to all the information. And so the Hollisters were in a position where they could put those pieces together, but they didn't act like this was because they were better. It was because they were just in a position and they did it, and, you know, the Yumatans were a part of the search, and hey, we did this and we helped. And the Yumatans appreciate this a great deal. They give them a great honor for tremendous service to the community. And so this is really a pretty good example of treating another culture that may be strange to you with respect. And if you give offense, own up that you have, and try not to do it in the future. Give help, offer help, but don't push it if it's not needed or not wanted. These are really good things to do. The Hollisters get a lot of that right.